Let's take a look at a new feature in Acumatica 2020 R2, how business events have replaced automation notifications. And you'll see in this browser I've got two tabs open. One is in a 2020 R2 environment, and you can see I'm accessing that on my local machine with localhost. And the other tab here is a 2020 R1 environment. I'm still accessing my local machine, but I'm using this trick to have the same environment open in two tabs. Now in 2020 R1, on the customer screen, on the upper right hand corner you can see that there's a notifications button. Now in 2020 R2, if I click over here, you can see that notifications button has been replaced with business events. Flipping back to 2020 R1, when you clicked on notifications and created a new notification, it would take you to the automation notification screen. Now flipping back to 2020 R2, I do a new business event, and this is going to create a business event in the business event screen. In 2020 R1, that automation notification screen could be found, if I spell it correctly, it could be found on the menu right here. If I search for that same phrase in 2020 R2, you can see there's no result. So the automation notification screen is gone, at least it appears to be gone, and it's been replaced entirely by business events. Now business events were around prior to Acumatica 2020 R2. So if I flip back to 2020 R1 and go to business events, here's the screen. But they weren't quite as smart as they are in 2020 R2. We were using the customer screen earlier. If I come up here and I look for customers, you'll see that I do not have the customer's data entry screen. I only have these generic inquiries. If I come over to 2020 R2 and go to the business event screen, let's look for customers again, and you'll see there's the data entry screen. So they've been enhanced in order to allow you to do business events on top of data entry screens. Now another thing to point out about business events, if you do it on top of a generic inquiry, you have two options. You can trigger it immediately when the record changes, or set it on a schedule to look at it periodically. If you do it on a data entry screen, think about it, it makes sense that you only get this one option because it's only aware of a change when you save the record on the data entry screen, so you can't schedule it. So that makes sense. And I also wanted to point out that, we've got these business events that continue to grow in their functionality, and now they've entirely replaced the automation notifications. There's another area that I think we might see in the future. It's called automation steps. And right now in both 2020 R1 and 2020 R2, if you see, if I come in here, I have a lot of automation steps on the sales order screen in 2020 R1. If I come in here in 2020 R2, automation steps, you'll see I have those same steps. But I think in the future we might see the new workflow engine as it marches through the modules. I think we might see the same thing happen as we've seen with automation notifications going away, being replaced with business events. I think we might see automation steps going away, being replaced with the workflow engine, the new workflow engine. So we'll see what happens there. But for sure in 2020 R2, we've got now business events replacing automation notifications.